Listen, JD Vance is a phony. He's fake.
JD Vance is a symbol and a warning sign to anyone willing to trade principles for power, for two reasons. The first is, well, your soul. If you believe in such a thing, as most Republicans claim to, then something's off here.
They're coming here in the name of Jesus. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. Angelic forces, angelic reinforcement, angelic reinforcement, angelic reinforcement. Fika, hata, anda, ata, ora, bata, rata.
Yeah, they're a little crazy. But my point is, if you really believe such lofty concepts of virtue and Judeo-Christian ideals, how do you throw them aside for this? Okay, I'm not religious, but that seems hypocritical to say the least, right?
The little Twitter trolls, they like to say, oh, Jesus didn't need an AR-15. How many AR-15s do you think Jesus would have had? Well, he didn't have enough to keep his government from killing him.
Okay, so JD Vance, he's never believed in Trump.
I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place. He's leading our political discourse to a very negative place. If Trump is elected president, he has to be a much different president than he was a candidate. As a candidate, he was fundamentally divisive, arrogant. I'm a never Trump guy.
But JD Vance wants power so badly, he's not only willing to gut his principles to obtain it, but to leave his Indian-born wife to the bigoted attacks by those close to Trump. This guy, he had dinner at Mar-a-Lago with tiny fingers after saying this about JD's wife.
JD Vance also has a non-white wife, an Indian wife, and a kid named Vivek. All his kids have Indian names. So it's like, what exactly are we getting here? And that's not a dig at him just because I'm a racist or something. But it's like, who is this guy really? Do we really expect that the guy who has an Indian wife and named their kid Vivek is going to support white identity?
And did Vance fight back? Okay, so the first reason Vance is a warning to people willing to trade their soul for power is the dark nature of such a deal. And the second reason not to do it is, it doesn't work. That's Vance at the Kennedy Center getting booed by patrons, and rightly so. Not just because he's sided up with Trump in his Machiavellian ways, but because he's proven to be, in many ways, worse than Trump. Really. I mean, where the First Lady is a mentally declining ape who can barely control bowel movements, much less his rapidly progressing dementia, Vance is a sneaky, backstabbing eunuch who will sell out anyone and anything and any principle just to be more than he'll ever be. Elon! Vance had these illusions that the fat one would stroke out and JD would be the big dog. But 2 months into this abortion, Trump has his legs wrapped around a mentally ill billionaire, Elon! And Vance has been pushed aside like a jilted prom date. And when you see Vance attack Zelensky...
Did you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President.
It's obvious that Vance has become so emasculated that he's totally lost his way.
I could keep a secret, bro. My lips stay shut.
So could Vance ascend to the presidency? Well, here's what the leader of the party said.
Do you view Vice President JD Vance as your successor, the Republican nominee in 2028?
No.
So Vance is so desperate to be a man, he bought into this anti-masculinity bullshit that MAGA spreads.
And what you're seeing now is a real Jezebel. You're going to see a lot of people saying that. It doesn't, it's like Pentecostal 101 when you've got somebody operating in manipulation, intimidation, and domination, especially when it's in a female role, trying to emasculate a man who is standing up for truth. You're dealing with the Jezebel spirit.
Okay, those guys are really fucking crazy, and Vance is fucking desperate. He totally sold out whatever or whomever he once was, and is now lecturing men to be like these fucking whack jobs. Blaming women for standing up for themselves, then pushing men to be more manly, like JD minus the mascara. And is it just me who sees the irony that Trump and Vance are attacking trans while the two of them wear more makeup than the average MAGA woman?
You know, my message to young men is, I think that our culture sends a message to young men that you should suppress every masculine urge. You should try to cast aside your family. You should try to suppress what makes you a young man in the first place. And I think that my message to young men is don't allow this broken culture to send you a message that you're a bad person because you're a man. It's... Yeah, these are some small penises in this room, but go on, JD. Like, our message, the cultural message, and I think the president's and mine is the exact opposite, but our cultural message is, I think that it wants to turn everybody, into, whether male or female, into androgynous idiots who think the same, talk the same, and act the same. We actually think God made male and female for a purpose, and we want you guys to thrive as young men and as young women, and we're going to help with our public policy to make it possible to do that.
And what does that masculinity sound like, JD?
I moved on her like a bitch.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab him by the pussy.
See, whatever Vance once was is gone. And say what you will about Trump, he's always been the definition of weak and pathetic. And Tiny Finger stumbled onto a deep pocket of similar monkeys with whom to share his madness.
He wants to grab pussy. I want to grab pussy.
Our message, the cultural message, and I think the president's and mine is the exact opposite, but our cultural message is, I think that it wants to turn everybody, into, whether male or female, into androgynous idiots who think the same, talk the same, and act the same. We actually think God made male and female for a purpose, and we want you guys to thrive as young men and as young women, and we're going to help with our public policy to make it possible to do that. I actually think, Mercedes, this is the thing that President Trump, this is why the media went after him so hard, is because, you know, when I think about, like, what is the essence of masculinity, you could answer this in so many different ways, but when I think about me and my guy friends, we really like to tell jokes to one another. Like, we like to laugh. If you think of all the movies that were really popular.
Are you saying you're pretty funny?
I try to be.
Okay, President Trump, who's funnier? Who's funnier?
President Trump.
All right, there.
Let's be honest.
There you go.
He's got the best sense of humor of any American political figure. But I think this is why young men in particular are so, you know, they're so inspired by President Trump, is because he doesn't allow the media to tell him he can't make a joke or he can't have an original thought. President Trump just says what's on his mind.
It's all right there. These are the white boys who say shit like, if blacks can say the N-word, why can't I? And their jokes, they're racist, sexist homilies deeply embedded in their weak and pathetic character. That's not humor. I know you know these type of men.
Forcing you to be gay?
No, not forcing me. Make sure you get that right. I ain't gay and I ain't got nothing to do with it, okay?
And what Vance is touting isn't masculinity. A real man isn't a man because he drinks beer with other guys and tells racist jokes. The real man is the guy who tells them to shut the f*** up.
Will you shut up, man?
Listen, men stand up to boys who traffic in racism and sexism. But JD Vance, he's a little boy who so desperately wants to sit at the grown-ups table. But he has zero to offer these sociopaths. And to the American public, he's exactly as advertised. A spineless cellular parasite who only exists in the shadow of others. And should he try to run in 2028? Well, JD, get used to this.
Goddamn right. Crazy.
Disgusting. Bloated and fat and disgusting.
Oh, I like that.
You're a nasty person.
I'm as mad as hell.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.